Hello friends, welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're going to make German fried potatoes with bacon. So this recipe is something that I learned from a German woman who used to live up the mountain from me, who was like the coolest, most wonderful, sweet person I ever met. She used to cook food for me and I loved it. And it's been a lot of years since this woman left us, but she was just amazing, and I just loved to go to her house because I always knew there was something good to eat. And one thing that she made were these fried potatoes that I totally loved, and thankfully I watched her make it enough to where I actually know how to do this, and it was just a great thing to have. And everything you saw on my counter is what we're using to make this. So we're going to start off with 8 pieces of bacon. And what you're going to do is take this, fold it over about 4 times, and then cut across it to where you're going to get like about 1/2 inch pieces of these. And then once we go one direction, we're going to cut the other, and we're just really trying to cut these up into smaller bits. We don't want huge pieces of bacon in this because we want it all to cook about the same time. We don't want to overcook some of the smaller pieces for the sake of the bigger ones. So we're going to go ahead and cut through each of these pieces of bacon until we get it completely cut up. And just try to stay consistent on how you're cutting it and the size you're cutting it. Now once all of this bacon is cut up, we're going to actually set it to the side on a plate to hold until we move on to the next thing, because this is part of the prep, but the other part of the prep is actually getting the potatoes cut up. So once the bacon's all cut up and set to the side, we will move on to doing the potatoes. So you're going to need like 4 large baking potatoes. We want the really large kind because 4 of these is enough to fill up a pan and actually feed several people. So you want to peel them completely, and then make sure you get rid of any dark spots that are going to be on the inside of the potato as well. Because I have found here recently, whenever I go to the store, no matter where I buy my potatoes from, there are always dark spots, as you can see in my video. I don't understand what's going on these days with the potatoes. It's just like they're not as good as they used to be because you have to cut off all of this stuff just to get a good potato. So we're going to continue to peel these, and after you get them peeled, what we're going to do is cut these into slices and then cut them into cubes, so that way the cubes are very easily used to cook for what we're doing. But again, we want to make sure that everything is pretty much a uniform shape, so that way they cook at the same rate. So basically what we want to do is cut them to where you've got at least like maybe a 1/2 inch or so cube from this. Now it's not really cube shaped so much because you're cutting across the potato and they're a little awkward shaped, but if you get the idea of it being somewhere in the 1/2 inch marker. And as you can see, as mine are piling up here, once you slice these potatoes across and then cut across them again, you're actually going to get something that's a lot like what we want. So we're going to go through all 4 potatoes, and we're going to cut these up a lot. And when you're done, you're going to get quite a lot, because as you can see right here in this pile of cut up potatoes I have here, there's enough to feed several people when we're done. Because once we put this in the pan and we add bacon to it, and then you're going to serve this with something like I serve mine with chicken, it comes out to be quite a lot of food. So we're going to need a large skillet, which I coated mine with some nonstick cooking spray, and we're going to put the bacon into it, do this on like medium-high heat, and we're going to cook this until the bacon is done. But we don't want crunchy bacon. We kind of want the kind of bacon that's more bendable, a little bit more flimsy, because we want to put this in with potatoes after the fact and cook it a little bit longer. So we don't want to overcook our bacon. So go ahead and move it around your pan and get it cooking, and make sure that you break up the larger pieces so that way everything cooks pretty evenly. And when you get to this point, you're going to actually start to remove the bacon once it's pretty much cooked and done. So sit it to the side in a bowl or whatever, because we're going to bring this back later after we actually get our potatoes in here. But in the meantime, what we are going to do is leave the oil, the grease from your bacon in the pan, because we're going to use that to actually cook our potatoes, because there's flavor in that grease that's left over that's going to help this to cook and have so much better taste to it when we do the potatoes themselves. So What we're going to do once all of this bacon is out, we're going to add a little bit of butter to the oil that's already in here. Now, mind you, when you are putting in this butter that you're going to add to this, I use like 3 or 4 tablespoons, maybe even a little more. You don't have to use that much because it will make them a little greasy on the potatoes. However, you could get away with using like 1 to 2 tablespoons and you probably would be perfectly fine because it's going to give a flavor when you do this. So we're going to get this in here, get this butter melting a bit, and then we're going to add our potatoes to the skillet. And we're going to dump them all in here. And once they're all in, we're going to move them around a little bit to, 1, help that butter melt, but 2, get it coating the potatoes while they're in the pan. Now remember, we're going to have this like medium-high heat because we want this to really cook. And as you're going through here, just keep turning this around a little bit. Now mind you, in just a second we're going to add some seasoning to it, so we'll make sure that it's really coated before we get to that point. So to start with, we are going to use 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt and 1/4 of a teaspoon of pepper. Then to this, we're adding 1/4 of a teaspoon of onion powder. And then on top of that, we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of paprika. Then 1/2 teaspoon of onion seasoning and 1/4 of a teaspoon of garlic powder. And all of this is going to work together to give this the best flavor you can ever imagine. So go ahead and mix this up. Get that seasoning all over the potatoes. There should be enough of the oil and butter in here to help it stick everywhere. Just keep mixing it until there's a good even coating on this. And we're going to cook these potatoes until they're done. If you don't know how to tell when the potato is done, you can take a fork and stick it into the potato, and if it goes in and does a really good job of going through easily, then that means they're fork tender, they're ready to go. If it's hard, it's resistant, you can't get it through, then you need to cook them some more. So this is going to take a few minutes to cook these potatoes. I'd say good 15 minutes, maybe more. And then when you go to the next stage of this, we're going to add the bacon back into this again. And we're going to stir this up. Now you're going to want to cook this for another 4 to 5 minutes with the bacon in it. So that way it's going to cook up, the bacon's going to finish doing what it's supposed to do. It's going to actually even flavor the potatoes some more. And you're going to have this wonderful, tasty thing that just, it's amazing to eat. Trust me, you have to taste this to know what I'm talking about. But just keep stirring it until you feel you've gotten to that 5-minute marker. And when you're done, you get something that looks like this. And like I said, I served mine with some fried chicken, and this is just the best tasting meal right here. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. And if you get a chance, check out my cookbooks, which are available in bookstores worldwide. The first is all about everyday cooking. The second is all about baking. Have a great day.